Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals post-game show brought to you by our friends here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Banner day for us, Arizona Cardinals, not so much. Johnny Venerable, the playmaker, Brittan Golden. The Arizona Cardinals, well, they were winning in the fourth quarter until it wasn't. Count them two, Matt Prater missed field goals, pushed the Arizona Cardinals down to Seattle's win-loss record, 21-20. Seattle wins this game. And the Cardinals go 0-6 in the NFC West this year. Not the ideal outcome as it relates to this team this year, but the draft pick, it's better as a result, Brittan.
No, the draft pick is better. Understandable, but two missed field goals. Very opportunity to win a game today. I don't know who the fuck that was, but had an opportunity to win the game. You left it in the kicker's hands. You know, it is what it is. You still got the fourth pick, but you want to see a W.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Cardinals earned that victory until it didn't happen. I'm going to tell you at the end of the day.
Hey, fam.
I'm going to tell you at the end of the day, this is not Randall Cunningham. The Arizona Cardinals want that dub going into this offseason. Of course they do, but you outplayed the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to get into all the statistics. It's tough at the end of the day, but you were able to secure the better draft pick with a team like the Chargers picking now fifth, who also have their franchise quarterback in place. Like, that cannot go unnoticed. The three teams that are picking ahead of you, I don't know if anybody saw what happened at Lambeau Field. The Bears had 3 field goals. Justin Fields' future is in question there. Of course, the Commanders and Patriots desperately need quarterbacks. The Cardinals are still, as a result of this game, very much in the Marvin Harrison sweepstakes. Again, we were all rooting for a dub. I thought at one point the Chargers were going to win, and the Cardinals were going to win and get that fourth pick anyway. I think at the end of the day, of course you want the W. But, I mean, you lost this game because your field goal kicker missed 2 kicks. Inexplicably missed 2 kicks. And I know we got people in the chat saying, did Austin Ford make the call? But it does feel like the Cardinals, like, it stings today. It's not going to sting in a week from now.
No, I mean, like I said before the show, I don't give a shit about your draft pick, right? I wanted to walk out of here with a W.
Of course.
Whether people, agree with me or not, I don't give a damn. But Kyler played great football today.
He did.
James Conner played football today. By the way, congratulations, James Conner, on the first 1,000-yard season. You did it in spectacular fashion today. But, like you said, it is a small win. You do get that 4th overall draft pick. You do stay in the sweepstakes for Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
And like you said, there's 3 teams in front of you that desperately need a quarterback.
They do.
I mean, if you sit here and tell me that, if you sit here and tell me that Chicago is going to pick Marvin Harrison number 1 overall, I mean, if they do, all power to you. That was the dumbest fucking move in history in the NFL draft pick. Maybe not the dumbest, but it's top 5. I mean, especially when you need it. Like, Justin Fields, hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
Is he going to be a quarterback that can lead you to a Super Bowl? Probably not. Not in Chicago, at least. Atlanta? Maybe. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but you could have a playoff team with him. But I just don't see the Bears taking a receiver number. I don't see anybody taking a receiver number 1 overall.
I mean, like, we're a couple months away from Michael Penix, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, all helping themselves. Like, does anybody think any of those guys are going to go down the toilet in the next couple months? No. Like, draft season, you talk these people up. You talk these prospects up. And the Cardinals and this fan base, we're in the position now, we're in the business now of talking these prospects up. Let's get to some of these Super Chats. You guys are crushing it. As always, lots of love for James Conner. Super Chat from our guy, Michael Evans, $2. Prater, player of the game. Not technically, but he might be the player of the game in late April. We might have to create a player of the game graphic for Matt Prater if the Arizona Cardinals do end up with Marvin Harrison Jr. Lil Dreezy 13. I don't care about Marv. I want to fucking win. I agree with that. Disappointing. This game should have been over 20-13 when the Arizona Cardinals were driving and had a chance to and did kick the field goal. I thought Kyler Murray was fantastic. James Conner, like Matt Prater, he hasn't missed 2 field goals all year. He's barely, certainly in a row, he's barely missed 2 field goals. Period. So it was very disappointing. But at the end of the day, who knows? It may end up helping the Cardinals long term. Jeff Underhill, thanks for the coverage this year, boys. $9.99 Super Chat. You are welcome, Jeff. We appreciate everybody. Like this video if you can to support the show. And we're not going anywhere. This draft season begins today, right now. But we are going to talk about this game. AZ Fan, 1998, $5. My guy, you know what? The Arizona Cardinals will be great next year. Yes, we could have had the win, but they come back with a vengeance. 2024, here we come. I don't know how you can not watch this team and be fired up about next year.
Especially with the opportunity, with the draft picks you have, the money you have to spend in free agency. I mean, I think everything's, at the end of the season, everything kind of came to fruition, what you really wanted to see from your team with what you had this season.
Yep.
I mean, they were extremely competitive in the last 6 weeks of the season, if you want to put it that way, which is what you wanted to see going into the offseason. I mean, with what we saw Monty and company do in the draft this past year, and having what they showed the graphic on the TV, 14 rookies played and 11 rookies started a game this year. It was the most in the NFL in both. I mean, that says a lot about your front office, and I'm looking forward to draft week and free agency this year, hoping they put together a hell of a roster and give them a great run for 2024.
Well, we know what position they don't need to tackle, at least early this offseason, is the running back position, because they've got a franchise-caliber running back under contract. We want to congratulate James Conner, his first official 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. That's why, of course, he's our X-Factor player of the game. JC, number 6, going for $150 on the ground on 27 carries, including 54 through the year. Of course, a long touchdown average. Get this, folks, 5.6 yards per clip. He's almost over, I think, 5 yards per carry now on the year. He definitely is now. A banner year for James Conner, especially when you consider Brittan missed 4 games, was banged up. Cardinals got to feel really good about JC, their captain, and the running back group coming back in 2024.
It's crazy to think he missed 4 games and put together a season, 1,000 yards, first 1,000-yard season of his career. I mean, it almost makes you wonder. I mean, if the guy plays every game this season, he's probably sitting at 1,400 yards rushing, which is crazy to think, but especially where we're at right now. But I think front office wise, you got to keep James Conner in the mix.
Yep.
Right there should be no question going forward. Do we deal him for this? Do we deal him for that? That is running back number 1.
No pay cuts,
season.
nothing. Don't touch his contract.
You're not touching his money. Matter of fact, you might as well give him an extra $1 million or $2 million, to be honest, with throwing an incentive or something in there. I mean, the dude elevated your football team all season long, and it showed on and off.
Elite player, elite human being. If you've had a chance to be around him, he is. If Kyler Murray is the draw that stirs the drink, then James Conner's the drink of this offense. I mean, he's fantastic on and off the field, and you want to get him a compliment in the draft. You want to keep Michael Carter around. I can entertain that, but I mean, I think his game is going to age exceptionally well. I think power backs do better if they can stay healthy as they get older, rather than guys who rely overly on speed. I mean, Seattle couldn't tackle him today. And the Cardinals, every time they needed to get points, they got points, whether it's field goal, touchdown. And it's unfortunate that, I don't think it's going to sully his moment today because he's the player of the game. But it is unfortunate that Prater could make those field goals because, listen, they rode James today en route to this victory. They knew, really, outside of what we saw with Trey McBride and Michael Wilson, Cardinals had one way to win. It's run the football. And they did it again effectively today. Think about some of these numbers, BG. 38 for 206, 5.4 yards per carry on the ground. Kyler had 33. Michael Carter averaged over 4 yards per carry with 17 rushing yards. I mean, the offensive identity now and into the future, it's running the football.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, that's back-to-back weeks, 200 yards rushing in this offense.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you really watch this game, what that does for your offense, one, that puts Kyler Murray in a great position.
Yep.
Now he can sit back there and throw the football. He can distribute it evenly. I mean, another one, Michael Wilson played phenomenal today. This might be his best game as a pro today. But that's what James Conner and Michael Carter do for your offense.
Yeah. Yep.
When those guys are in there, you're looking at 5 yards a clip with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting 5 yards a carry. That's 2 plays, and it's a first down on average. So it's allowing stuff like that to come in and do it. Now you've got time to throw that ball to Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Or Michael Wilson, excuse me.
No, I knew what you meant.
It's in that, right? You've got the time, you've got the effort. Now Kyler Murray feels comfortable.
Yep.
He can go in 1st and 10 and throw it up to a Michael Wilson, and I'm incomplete, right? 2nd down, I got 5-yard carry.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm in 3rd and 5. The numbers add up when you have guys like that in your backfield.
Like this video again, subscribe to PHNX Sports. You're just a better team with JC on this team, and if you're serious about making the playoffs next year and taking what you built this year and doubling and tripling down on what works, James Conner works. Let's get back to these super chats. You guys super generous today. Alex, $1.99. Michael Wilson balled out today, as you mentioned.
Great day.
6 catches on 6 targets. More importantly, he had that little spell where it was like 2 or 3 targets a day. He couldn't haul in any, and today he was making big play after big play. I tweeted this out. I think he's primed BG for a huge 2024 when you consider he gets all offseason now with Kyler Murray. He's somebody that, listen, at the end of the day, he's going to have about a modest 600 yards receiving, but again, that's with missing time with Kyler Murray. That's with Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune and he himself missing a game or 2. 600 yards can easily turn into 1,100 yards next year.
Oh, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. If he's healthy for a season and he plays like he did today, he is a guaranteed 1,000-yard receiver in this offense.
Yeah, so on the season, he ended up with just under 600 yards receiving on the year, a couple of touchdowns. He took a big step, obviously, Trey McBride. We're going to get all into that and more. Thank you, Alex. Mike Kafka, $5. Pete Carroll on the sideline when JG ran that last play, losing 2 yards. He said, they're choking. Interesting. I didn't love that play call, like the delayed stretch play. And again, like I'm not going to entertain, you're not going to entertain like people, the Cardinals purposely losing that game. It's going to benefit them in the long term, though. But today it is tough. Like you would have rather see the Cardinals go north and south a little bit more. But like with how bad Prater missed that earlier field goal, like I'm not sure you could have gotten close enough for Prater to make it at that point. Like he went through some kind of funk today where it was just like, listen, at the end of the day, it could have been like a 30-yard chip shot, and he was going to miss it.
I mean, it for me, yes, we love, you got to love your kicker when you have the team. But at the end of the day, you've got to find ways to not leave it in your kicker's hands.
Absolutely. But really, they didn't. They were trying to go up by 2 scores. Thank goodness it was this game and not against Philadelphia. That would have been absolutely the worst. The Cardinals do go 0-6, though, in the NFC West. That's something that has to be remedied next year. It's something that you want to get taken care of. It would have been nice to have an NFC West dub. But again, like I'll be honest with everybody, I wanted this victory too. There's not a difference between your fourth pick in the draft, or excuse me, let me repeat that. There's not a difference between going 4-13 and 5-12, in my opinion.
Yes, agreed.
There's a big difference between like 1 to 3 wins, but like having 4 wins and having 5 wins, I mean, that is what it is, especially when you have your franchise quarterback. The Cardinals now have a higher pick as a result of this game. You would have loved to have seen them 1 and still get the pick. I thought that's where this was headed. That didn't happen. So we can be frustrated. I'm frustrated, but if by hook or by crook, number 18 out of Columbus is available in late April because of this outcome, everybody's going to be, down on their knees thinking they're lucky stars that this took place. And then again, if it doesn't happen, you're still going to have an option of trading back. Maybe Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels is available for somebody to come up. Maybe you get your pick of the top 2 tackles. Like Cardinals are going to get either an elite haul or an elite player, a blue chipper at pick number 4. And again, the Chargers having Justin Herbert in-house, you basically put a barricade in front of yourself because they're not going quarterback. Yeah. So you could get the best non-quarterback in this draft. You can't say that if you're picking 5th overall.
No, agreed. And especially with the Chargers in that position because, one, you've got Keenan Allen as well as, who's the other big one? Mike
Williams. And then they took Quentin Johnson in the first round this year.
That didn't really perform. Right. Now, granted, he offensive coordinator is out there, and they had a head coach for most of the season. But when you're sitting in the Chargers uniform, if you get that 4th overall pick as a Charger, Marvin Harrison is a guaranteed pick, I believe. Yeah. So the fact that the Cardinals get that 4th pick, now you put yourself in position where you either get Marvin Harrison Jr. or you get a haul for a 1-pick difference.
Yep.
Right? I mean, if the Chargers want him that bad, you're looking at another first-round pick plus whatever in the future. So I mean, the Cardinals are in perfect position. Yes, like you said, we wanted to win this game. I wanted them to win this game so bad. But the Cardinals are in the driver's seat going forward, going to April.
Absolutely. Let's get back to these super chats. Didi, $4.99. Thank you, PHNX, for an entertaining season. Thank you, Didi, and everybody else that supports PHNX, PHNX Sports, the PHNX Cardinals podcast. We do it because of you. That's it at the end of the day. Fans helping fans, fans giving access. We're not going to stop. We're going to be Senior Bowl, Super Bowl week, Combine. We got it all, plus a banger of a draft party. We're going to be able to share more deets on that in the coming weeks. Libertarian Sasquatch, $1.99, a perfect loss. Showed get signed, secured the bag. I think a lot of people agree with Sasquatch today. Like, I saw a lot of people upset when the Cardinals were winning, and certainly I wasn't in that camp, but I also think, listen, like, if it secures them a Hall of Fame level receiver or a massive haul for a trade down with these quarterbacks, like, shit, man. Remember, it didn't work out, but 2021, how many quarterbacks went in the top 5? I mean, it's like, the Trevor Lawrence and then Zach Wilson and then Trey Lance, that was 1, 2, and 3. I think this class is way better than that class. So they have put themselves in a position to have options. And here's what I will say. You needed 2 things to have happen this year. You needed to secure a top pick, I think, for a lot of people to justify all the losing. But you also needed clarity on Kyler Murray. Like, is he the guy? Well, we know he's the guy. He played great again this week. He's stacking quality wins. I had a tweet ready to go out that I'm sure would have done gangbusters saying Cardinals 4-4 with Kyler Murray. Without him, 1-7. That should have been what happened. But he's the guy. Ian Rappaport's confirming what we already know. He's the guy. So it's like, okay, we know he's the guy. And we know the Cardinals overachieved this year based on their talent level. Give me the higher pick. I want the higher pick.
I agree. And you got to love what you saw out of Kyler, especially the last 2 weeks of this season. You got to love what you've seen out of Kyler. He went in there and played 2 playoff caliber football teams and put on a show in both games. I mean, he played exactly how you needed your franchise quarterback to play against 2 solid football teams. He came out with a win and one. Possibly could have had a win today too. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we're sitting pretty. We got our draft pick. We ended the season on a positive note outside of the loss. Everything looks good going into 2024.
More super chats here as you guys continue to rack a man here. I love you guys. Hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe. AZFan1998. Again, $5 super chat. Definitely have a ton of options adding talent during free agency and the draft. Believe in Monty. This will be a crazy offseason. Stars aligning. Absolutely. Listen, I was talking to some of the peeps here during the watch party, and we were joking about how many of these defenders are going to be left over. I mean, I do think, I tweeted this out. I think Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon deserve a ton of credit for how they were able to piecemeal this defense together. And I know they gave up the big play, and Tyler Lockett's a big-time player, and so is DK Metcalf. Yeah. I mean, you held him to 21 points. I mean, you should have won this game regardless, but the Starling Thomas and Keitrell Clark and, Lecky Fotu playing his first game in like 2 months, and you have no pass rush. They have 1 sack in 6 games. You maxed out this defense way beyond the capacity I thought they'd be able to do.
Oh, agreed. And for the talent level you had on defense as a whole, taking nothing away from these guys that played, because they played a hell of a season for what they had out there. But this defense played out of their minds for the talent level. When you compare it to other defenses in the NFL, they played out of their minds, and they played with a chip on their shoulder all year. Nobody gave them the benefit of the doubt from week 1 to week 18.
Yeah.
And this defense came out and found ways to get off the field, especially here at the end of the season. They found ways to get off the field. The offense found ways to stay on the field. And the defense ultimately did their job this year. I mean, like you said, you held the Seahawks to 21 points today. This could have been a real blowout game for the Seahawks and the Cardinals. And the defense came out. They got pressure on Geno today for the most part. You didn't come – I know Dennis Gardeck, there was about 4 times today he should have had a sack.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really close to a sack. So, I mean, you really played out of your minds for the talent level that was on this defense. Hats off to him. Hats off to Rallis and JG for just having faith and getting these guys ready to play every Sunday.
Damon Dog, we got some Gannon clips from his press conference. We're going to queue up here. Jonathan Gannon is we're working on some Gannon content from our guy.
We'll get those ready in a second here.
Perfect. Damon Dog crushing it per usual. Check out our awesome draft graphic that my man made up on the fly. It's on our social, PHNX_Cardinals. Go and follow that. Over 10K. Dirtbike Boy 714, friend of the program, $4.99. Prater sold for the cause, but goddamn, it would have been, I did want to beat the hell out of those Sea Chickens. Still want him back for next year. Totally agree.
He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
One of the most consistent kickers all season
He had a bad day to have a bad day.
Everybody has a bad day, and you're entitled to your bad day, I guess. I mean, you don't want to see it as a fan. You don't want to see it at the end of a game like that, but he's top 3 most consistent kicker in the NFL this year. He's one of those guys that you need on your team. He can help you win games. He's not going anywhere.
Picked a bad day to have a bad day, but I think the Seahawks would tell you Cardinals were the better team today. I agree with that. Jalen Blair, $5. It was a rough season, but we got through it, absolutely. Now the real season begins. The foundation has been laid. Now it's time to build. Absolutely. Cardinal fans, they deserve to win today, but they deserved a high pick too. I mean, you think about for how long we've been doing this, 17 games, and it's been fun mostly since Kyler Murray's come back. It's felt like a real team, but a lot of people don't remember, or maybe they do, those first 8 games of the year when you had one win against Dallas and a bunch of no-shows. And, again, no-shows based on the talent discrepancy. The game against Cleveland, right? The game against the Seahawks, the game against the Ravens and the Bengals. Like, you want to win at the end of the year. But, man, what Cardinal fans have endured this offseason, even if you've got a glimmer of a shot to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4th overall, that's going to be worth it, in my opinion. Like, I hope Jonathan Gannon, based on what I've seen this year, has a lot of NFC West victories up his sleeve in his future, right, BG? But today, you might have had to sacrifice one just to have an option to get number 18 out of Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know everybody in that locker room, from the front office down to the kicker, down to the janitors in the building. Everybody wanted to come out of here with a win, especially against the Seahawks. But like you said, you have an opportunity to get a generational talent at receiver. Whether you get him or not, you're in the mix for it now. And I know the front office has got to be ecstatic for this opportunity. And, I mean, this is a heavy draft for all positions, I believe. And what they put together last year on the draft board with what they were working with, I mean, I'm looking forward to a great offseason, a great draft, great free agency pickup. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come.
I, too, am excited because of all of you. Hit that like button. We're going to be joined by my guy, Bo Brack, our guy, PHNX Cardinals co-host, live from State Farm Stadium in just a moment. But first, I want to thank everybody here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Wild Horse Pass has been a banner year for us to do our broadcasts here on home game days. Nobody does a better experience. I want to thank everybody who came out for the watch party today. Authentic and immersive. They've got over 800 slot machines, 15 blackjack tables, immaculate food. Spicy chicken sandwich was on point. Had a couple drinks, had some nachos. Great time. Giving out some jerseys from Kyler Murray to Larry Fitzgerald, James Conner. Ever heard of him? And the party doesn't stop here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. It goes all off season long. Check them out, Gila.com, for more details. You do you, Gila. We love you for it. And check them out this offseason. Absolutely. Get back to these super chats, Damon Dog, because you guys are stacking them up. We love to see them. Again, if you haven't done so already, let's get this to 500 likes. 500 likes for the sacrifice of the 5th win of the season. Mile High Hustle, $4.99 super chat. Thanks for a fire show every time. Thank you so much, Mile High Hustle. Prater wasn't reliable today, but Johnny and Golden have it on lock. Appreciate that, man. We do our best. We move forward. We trudge along. No, I'm excited. Banner off season on deck. Tons of options for this team.
It's going to be big.
Hector, $5 super chat. Great season, PHNX. Awesome podcast. Can't wait for the offseason and the draft. Echo those sentiments, Hector. And again, it's like last year, had a chance to do the Super Bowl. Pat McAfee on the show. If you haven't seen it, Rondell Moore, James Conner, Zach Ertz. I mean, that's the kind of access you can come to expect will be with all the insiders. Jordan Schultz, hopefully Gideon Rappaport on the show. You guys tell us who you want to see this offseason. We will do our best to make it happen. Talking Cardinal football. Topic 64, great friend of the program, $4.99. 2 receivers, 2 cornerbacks by way of the draft of free agency. This will need to happen. I think so. I think cornerback especially. Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch and Rondell Moore will be back at receiver. But you need an alpha. They need an alpha at receiver.
Yeah. No, and I think with how many receivers are coming out of this draft, plus the receivers that are going to be free agents this year, I think there's a good possibility you get a solid receiver in free agency. And, I mean, from what it looks like now, possible Marvin Harrison Jr. to come in here in the draft. So, and even if it's not, there's, like we talked about weeks prior, there's plenty of really good receivers in this draft, as well as free agency. So, I'm pretty confident that Monty and company will get a solid group of receivers ready to go next year to add on to the Michael Wilson and the Greg Dortches that come back and give Kyler a real, really just a plethora of guys to be able to go through that you add with Trey McBride. And cornerback, yes, I think cornerback's a big need. Right? You got 2 young guys in there right now that finished the season, but you need some veteran leadership back there. You need a guy that can come in and be a number 1 straight off the couch. And I think that this regime is going to do a good job in getting the guys in here next season for a successful season.
Absolutely. Back to these Super Chats. Illa Dre, friend of the program, $4.99. I feel confident in this new regime. No need to panic. Let Monty cook. Playoffs next year for sure. Yes, Echo that. It's playoffs or bust for me. Kyler Murray showed what he showed. He's only going to get better, making $52 million. I think somebody said, like, either on the broadcast about Kyler Murray saying this is the last time we're not going to be in the postseason. Love that mindset. He's a winner. I think he played well enough, certainly, to win this game today. They got some stuff to clean up. But they got to get better personnel at some key spots. AZ Fan 1998, back at it, $5. Last one. Just wanted to say thank you for the coverage, PHNX. You're the best Arizona Cardinal coverage ever, just making up for not being here. I appreciate you. We appreciate you, AZ Fan 1998. You guys, again, you're the reason we do this. And hopefully, we're not going anywhere. Let's get to some other guys that aren't going anywhere. It's counting cards today. JC, player of the game. How about these guys? Kyler Murray, ever heard of him? 110 passer rating today. Besting Geno Smith's 101 passer rating. Kyler also had his best passing yardage of the year at 262. Added in 33 yards rushing. Had a 33-yard run that was fantastic. 1 passing touchdown, almost 9 yards per average completion today. Really opened it up to these guys. Trey McBride, touchdown. Trey McBride could be heading his way to, I don't even think the game's in Hawaii anymore, but he could be headed to the Pro Bowl. Sam Laporta hurt his knee. You hate to see that, but I think Trey McBride ends up this year as a Pro Bowler. Is Michael Wilson a future Pro Bowler? As we mentioned, 6 catches on 6 targets, 95 yards receiving. That trio that you see right there, BG, in conjunction with James Conner, that's going to be the identity of this team this offseason.
Agreed. And if Michael Wilson can string games together next season like he did this final game of the season, then you're looking at a Pro Bowl type receiver. Yeah. 100%. I mean, when you look at the 6 targets, 6 receptions, 95 yards, I mean, it's essentially 100 yards a game for 18. That's an 1,800-yard season, right?
Yep.
Now, to run 100 yards a game for 18 weeks is a tall task. But Michael Wilson took a big step today in showing that he can be that go-to guy in this offense as a receiver-wise, and I think he played great today. It was awesome.
Michael Wilson proving a lot of people wrong, including myself. I thought after those couple games where he was, not available because of injury and just kind of hit a rookie wall, I was like, was that it for Michael Wilson? Is he done? No, he's not done. Had back-to-back really good performances against, of course, Philadelphia and subsequently Seattle today. Back to these Super Chats. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Josh, $5. JG showed us top-tier coaching and a winning mentality. Now it's time for Monty to cook so the Cards can cook next year. I think that's a great point, Josh. I think Gannon has lived up to his end of the bargain. I think Ossenford did a good job, clearing the deck for, lack of a better term, no pun intended. Now Monty has to pick up the slack because there are a lot of people, especially in Philadelphia, that are wondering, do we have the guy now that JG's gone? And there are a lot of Cardinal fans like Josh and myself and BG and Damon Dog that are thinking, yeah, Jonathan Gannon's pretty good at what he does. What can he do now when he gets some quality talent on specifically the defensive side of the ball?
Agreed. And I think once JG and company can get a defense in here with some guys that we know can make plays, that have established making plays, I mean, this offseason is going to be big. Yes, we need receivers. Yes, we need stuff like that. But the defensive side of the ball, I think is going to be the biggest thing, is going to be the biggest issue for success next year.
Yeah.
Right? Because Jonathan Gannon showed he can put a solid defense on the field with no names out there outside of Budda Baker.
Yeah.
You had no names out there on defense, right? Yeah. It was just a bunch of young guys and guys that haven't established themselves yet. And they had a hell of a season defensively. And JG and Rollis showed that they can put that together. I'm very excited to see what they can do when they get a full offseason. They get some guys in here that they know can help out immediately. And JG's that guy. When Philly wanted to talk shit and say he wasn't the guy because they lost the Super Bowl, look what the fuck happened to you this season. You guys suck on defense. So you eat them words. JG came in here and put a subpar Cardinals defense and made them look really good this year. And I'm excited. Very excited.
I'm excited to hear from Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Let's listen to what he had to say following their 1-point loss to the Seahawks.
Good football game versus a good football team. They made a couple more plays than we did to win the game. I thought the first half, we moved it pretty well and needed to score more points there. Second half, put some points on the board. Defense played pretty good there. Gave up the touchdown at the end there, 2-point play, got in position, but win as a team, lose as a team. I told them in there I'm proud of those guys. They fought all year, went through a lot of adversity, and good things are on the horizon. And I told them too. I said I've never been more enthused going to an off season in my life, so they're ready to come with me. Honestly, not much, truthfully. Obviously I feel for the locker room because you want to get a W there, but we didn't do enough to give ourselves another opportunity moving forward, and the blueprint will be very clear for us how to do that, and that's what we'll lay out for them. It was fantastic. I think the first time he's done that, and he missed 4 games. Guys, you guys know how I feel about the guy. I mean, true warrior, true pro. I mean, can't say enough good things about James. Put the team on his back, him and won, and made it happen. But, like I said, we just had to make a few more plays that they made.
A very somber yet sincere Jonathan Gannon that I think, is feeling the emotions of a lot of us. Like, we're immensely proud of this team, and I believe him. Good things are on the horizon. How can you not be enthused about this team, but at the same time trying to digest, blowing a game that you had in the final minutes, and your kicker, who's been money, who probably should have been a Pro Bowler, misses 2 kicks. I mean, that was the difference.
Yeah, and it is like you can see. I mean, you can't really see much. He doesn't give you much emotion in this thing, but by the way he talks, he's excited for this offseason just as much as the fans and the rest of us are excited to see what comes out of this. I mean, like you said, Seahawks made a few more plays today than the Cardinals did, but as a whole, I think they played a great football game. Offensively, they came out, like you said, Connor and Kyler put this team on their back today and showed that this is a winning football program when you get all the pieces.
Do you feel like this team right now, that momentum is a real thing? Like, you were a part of some teams back in 2013, 2014 that took momentum, I think, into the subsequent seasons, 2014, 2015, and then like in 2016, that team underachieved, and it cost them the following year. Like, do you believe in momentum at the end of the season?
Agreed. I mean, the 2013 season was my first year here. I came in halfway through the season, and we finished that season 10-6. We missed the playoffs because we needed a loss we needed the Buccaneers to beat somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So we missed the playoffs. But we go into 2014, and we turned that into an 11-5 season or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Which tied or was close to the most wins they'd had in franchise history.
Yep.
And then you lose in the wild card, and you backdoor it in 2015 and go to an NFC Championship, finishing 13-3. So I think momentum is key. I mean, we were able at that time to bring most of our key pieces back. Right? We had Fitz in line. We had Michael Floyd in line. We got running backs. We brought in CJ in 2K. We brought in Chris Johnson, who was a huge thing. And when he went down, David Johnson blew up. We had all the pieces. We had defense. We had a crazy defensive line. We had a hell of a secondary, if you want to put it, with Gerard Powers, Patrick Peterson, Rashad Johnson, Tyrann Mathieu, Tyvon Branch. We had all the keys. So I think momentum is huge, and the way the Cardinals finished the season this year was with positive momentum, especially offensively. You started to see what can happen when this offense starts to click. So I think going into next season, the momentum that they were able to put together to finish, I think it carries over, and it does. In my mind, it does because we proved it for 4 years in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Cardinals definitely have momentum and mojo. I think Gannon himself, Kyler Murray, they proved everybody wrong. I think that's what this season was about, frankly. It's Kyler Murray coming back off his ACL. Is he still franchise quarterback? Check. Is Jonathan Gannon the real deal? Check. Those are the 2 biggest things. Everything else is window dressing, and I'm not undermining any of these other players on the roster. GM, head coach, quarterback. That's what the infrastructure needs to be to have sustained success in the NFL. And Monty Ossenford had a nice offseason, more work, obviously a lot of work to be done this offseason. Jonathan Gannon was deemed a one-and-done coach by Pro Football Focus. Thought the Cardinals were just going to tank this year, fire Gannon at the end of the year. Well, that was incorrect. There were people like Mike Florio and Michael Lombardi saying Kyler Murray was going to sit all year. That was incorrect. I think the biggest outcome of this season was over certainly these last 8 games, but in Gannon's retrospect, 17 weeks, that you proved these people wrong, and you proved internally to the Valley, I think to most people, that you have the battery to succeed long term. You have the battery to succeed, I think, in this division, certainly. You give them a fighting chance with some significant upgrades of personnel, and Kyler Murray a full offseason. Like Kyler Murray's statistics this year, I think he's going to have like 13 touchdowns to 5 picks, 13 total touchdowns to 5 picks. He's going to have a passer rating that's almost 90. And if you project that out over the course of a 17-game season, like it's high, like 30 total touchdowns. I think, the NFL lead for touchdowns this year was Josh Allen, but like passing touchdowns was right around, 30, 35. Kyler Murray can be a franchise top 10 quarterback if you support him this offseason, and they will. And it's the right move. We talked about it for months on end. The quickest way to viability in the postseason and to be in the mix, like all these teams want to be in next weekend, is to have Kyler Murray. If you, for whatever reason, opted to move on from Kyler Murray and it didn't work out, you were setting yourself back. What we saw in Houston, that's an outlier with C.J. Stroud and company. Usually it looks like, especially for the Arizona Cardinals, what it looked like for Bryce Young, what it looked like for Anthony Richardson going down. I remember when Matt Leinart as a rookie broke his collarbone. It was maybe his second year. But the point, is withstanding, it usually looks like Josh Rosen. So I think people can call it safe. I call it smart. Smart because the Valley, Cardinal football fans, they deserve postseason football. Nobody can project, the Cardinals are going to do X, Y, and Z with Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whomever. We know Kyler Murray, if you get 17 games from K1, you're going to be in the mix to make the playoffs. And for a franchise that has, I can count them on both hands how many postseason bursts historically in this history of this franchise, I think you take that as a Cardinal fan.
I agree. And I agree with what you say about Cardinals fans needing a playoff team. Listen, there's not too many places like State Farm Stadium when you're playing a playoff game.
Yep.
Right? That place is packed. It's loud. Those fans are in there to see their Cardinals win. And I'd say it is, when you win a playoff game in that stadium, that place might be the loudest place on the planet.
Yep.
I mean, I watched Larry Fitzgerald have the play of his life. Carson Palmer makes, right? That looked like a doom play, and it turns into we scored a touchdown to beat the Packers. To beat the Packers in overtime.
Yep.
That was the loudest place, the most electric
undefeated
place.
versus the Packers in the playoffs.
The most electric place I was in a playoff game. It was super exciting. I'm happy for where we're trending.
Yep.
And I pray to God next year as a playoff team, so these fans can get back in the mix and be able to pack State Farm out and make that place loud. And one of the top places to come where defenses don't want to play.
Do you feel like the Cardinals, like with what you've seen from these young players especially, like that playing time is going to bode itself well? Because there was a statistic that came out this week. Cumulative minutes by young players, by rookies, was the most in the NFL. Like, is that a byproduct of the Cardinals not having a ton of talent, or is that a byproduct of this coaching staff embracing young players?
I think you got to give credit to Monty in that front office, right? Because the fact that you had young players, yes, you don't always love to see young players playing. That means guys went down or you didn't have the talent,
right,
outside of your draft picks. But when you can bring in that many draft picks, and you got 14 rookies that saw the field this year on offense, defense combined, and 11 of them were starters, and you got solid production out of every single one of them. Right, that speaks very highly of your front office.
Well, I think it just shows like we'll win with whatever we've got. Like the best players are going to play too.
The best players play, that's what you want to see as a player. Any free agent coming in here, when they sit there and look, money aside, when you get an offer to come to some place where the coaching staff is going to put the best players on the football field,
yep,
that is a destination where big name guys want to go, especially in free agency, because they know I'm not going to have to sit here and listen to politics about, oh shit, they're paying him $10 million this year. They're paying this guy $500K. The Cardinals and JG and company proved that shit this year.
Right.
Greg Dortch ain't making what Hollywood Brown and they're making. Yes, Hollywood had injuries, but it doesn't matter. They decided that the injuries he had weren't worth holding him on and letting him try to get some play time late in the season. They were like, we're going to go with a Greg Dortch who's making plays. Right? That is where you want to go as a player. When you come in and you have a player's coach that says, I'm putting the best players on this football team on the field that gives us the best opportunity to win. That's a destination guys want to come and play.
And it just gets you fired up with the direction of this team. I get fired up by these super chats. Let's dive back into them. Chris C., $5. Congrats on Jonathan Gannon being the perfect this entire season on challenges. Absolutely. 1 of 1.
1 for 1, baby.
In the fourth quarter.
100%.
Love that. Netting that challenge. The conversion rate's 100%. Love to see that. Thank you so much, Chris, for the super chat. Tom, $1.99. I like Cooper DeJean with the Houston pick. Listen, Cooper DeJean is going to be, or DeJean, or however you say his last name, interesting case study, especially like he's coming off an injury. That might be a little rich for me. You want to take him in the second round. He's a cornerback from Iowa. He also happens to be a white corner from Iowa, which is the big talking point for a lot of people.
A white corner?
He's a white corner.
When's the last time we had that? Jason Sehorn?
Yeah, probably. And not only is he white, like he did everything for Iowa. He returned kicks, he returned punts. Like he's not Christian McCaffrey-esque. He's not that high level at his position coming
big
out.
Fella, break barriers. Do what you do, man. If you that guy, if you're the guy, they'll find you. I promise you. If you really that guy, teams will find him and put him on the field.
I'm rooting for him. Of course, anybody would be. Alex, $1.99 super chat. That fourth down call was gutsy. I loved it, absolutely. I had to look away because I just assumed they kicked the field goal. I looked right back, and I'm like, did Prater throw that ball to Trey McBride? But it was Kyler Murray. Again, like Gannon may have lost 13 games this year. I can't count too many times where, like, I'm sitting here on a post-game show, and it's like, Gannon really blew that game, or Gannon had a really rough game, and he got out-coached and blah. I let the Cardinals out-coach the Seahawks today. The Seahawks needed this win. The Cardinals ran over them, and they lost because of two special teams gaffes. And Gannon can't kick those field goals. So I think Jonathan Gannon, if you were to grade Jonathan Gannon this year, what grade would you give him?
I'd give him a B+.
Yeah,
in year one.
that's exactly what I would have said. Like 100%. DeMeco Ryans, you give an A.
DeMeco Ryans got an A+.
He got an A++.
You took a terrible team and made the playoffs with 10 wins. Hell of a job, DeMeco.
But again, I feel like what the Cardinals were asked to do was not something that these other franchises were asked to do. Like even Houston, let's put aside the fact they play in a shit division, and their strength of schedule was a joke compared to the Cardinals that they had to play. But I also feel like they loaded up. They went and got Will Anderson Jr. They were trading up for players. They were signing players in free agency. Like the Cardinals were actively removing talent from their roster if it was expensive, it didn't fit what they wanted to do. Like they went through a period. It's like DeAndre Hopkins, goodbye. Isaiah Simmons, see you later. Josh Jones, swing tackle, goodbye. I mean, they stripped this down. And the fact that they were two Prater missed field goals or really one made field goal away from having their fifth win of the season, which I know for a lot of people would have hit their over-under. I'm impressed by that. Kyler Murray plays all year. You might be a 500 team. That's impressive. And that shows you that's what matters. Coaching matters and quarterback play matters.
Agreed. I mean, if Kyler plays 18 weeks, you have at least no less than 8 wins this season.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, and you could call it what you want, whether it was still a failure of a season or not. But I think if Kyler plays all year, you have an opportunity to go at worst 500, which I think is. I mean, the Cardinals were what? 0. They were favored in 0 games this year?
None.
Coming out of
they were favored in no games.
0 favored games with an over-under of 3?
3 to 4. Yeah, I think USA Today picked them to win 3 games. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, most people thought the Cardinals were going to be not only the worst team in the NFL, but the worst team since the winless Cleveland Browns.
And they were by far not the worst team.
No. I mean, they are a team like there is every year, a team that wins 4 to 5, 6 games every year. That's what they look like. Oh, the Cardinals, they won 4 games that year. They didn't have a good season. But the way people were talking about the Cardinals, they're going to be historically terrible. And they weren't. They were watchable for the most part. And in all actuality, they're going to come into this offseason with a boatload of money and cap space and draft picks and be able to really help themselves. People have been asking for a total look at their 2024 NFL draft picks. So I'm working on that. I'm going to send it to Damon Dog just so everybody can have kind of a clear idea as to not only with the 4th overall pick, but what does that mean for the subsequent round. So I put out a tweet, Damon Dog. I'm going to throw it to where you can grab it here. And he's going to put that on a full screener for everybody to check out. I want everybody else to check out some good stuff going on with our friends at Circle K. Circle K, of course, the official convenience store of PHNX Sports. Convenience because it's convenient to go. It's convenient pricing. I mean, gas has never been cheaper. How'd you like to save 25 cents per gallon in your first 5 fill-ups? Save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Well, how can you do that? Join the Circle K Inner Circle. Get every 6 free selection on Circle K products like pizza, ice-cold fountain drinks, coffee, and more. It's fantastic. I got one right next to my house. I load up, and I make sure I always have a full tank with my friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply. at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. We're going to hear from Bo Brack live at State Farm Stadium in just a couple minutes, but I want to tell you guys, speaking of the Cardinals, how about the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals? It's Desert Financial. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest and most trusted credit union, and it's the credit union of the Venerable family. I moved from the Midwest. I never changed my bank. I waited till the last minute, and I'm like, I just want something that rates well and it's easy and convenient for me to get my money. Like, because when I'm hitting on my bets, like, I want my money. And I want to go to the ATM. I want to go and do some transactions. And I despise banks that have, like, one location out, like, on the side of a highway, and I can't get to it. Desert Financial is easy, convenient. They have a ton of locations in the East Valley, and they can hook you up. Checking, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. If you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place than our friends at Desert Financial. Again, the official credit union of our Arizona Cardinals. Represent the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinals Visa debit. Show your team spirit. Open up a free checking account and go rock that Visa debit card. I've got one. You can too. Visit them, desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Trust me when I say you open up a checking account. It takes a couple of minutes. You get your debit card in the mail a couple days after. Bingo, bango, bongo. You are good to go. Speaking of Desert Financial, we're ready to go on by the numbers, Damon Dog. So this is going to be tough to look at because Cardinals played a relatively clean game today. Had more yards. The penalties was not ideal. They allowed one sack. They didn't sack Seattle at all. They dominated time of possession again today.
Again.
Neither team had a turnover. Buda Baker almost had a turnover. But again, like, Cardinals almost had 500 yards of offense. Like, they played well enough to win this game. They outplayed the Seahawks for 99.9% of this game. And this is tough if you're a Cardinal fan to look at.
No, and we talked about it before the game. Time of possession would be key.
Yep.
It's what they did last week against Philly. They forced Philly, to play a game that they haven't had to play all year. And they did the same thing Seattle-wise today. They controlled the football. They moved the football. No, they didn't turn the ball over.
Yep.
The run game was working. The pass game was working. You're looking at it on the screen. Like, they dominated the football game.
Yeah.
Outside of the penalties, they dominated the football game. Then they came up, like we said earlier, Seattle made a few more plays at the end of the game that the Cardinals didn't. Seattle came out with a W, unfortunately. But the offense is trending ending the season. The offense is trending in a direction that you have to be excited for, given the opportunity to bring in some talent offensively next season.
Love this comment here by Turok. Can't understate the season McBride had. Absolutely.
Agreed.
And again, he made a couple of mistakes today, and it's just like, dude's 23 years old, and you assume that he's been playing this for 10 years and is a polished, perfect player. But no, what he is, he's a freak show. And I agree with Michael York. He is the best tight end this franchise has had since Jackie Smith. Another touchdown today for Trey McBride. Again, the weapons are there offensively. You just need one or two more. You need a number one alpha wide receiver to go with Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch and Rondell Moore, and maybe another developmental wide receiver. And if you want to take a back, that's fine late in the draft. Let's get back to these super chats if we could. We're waiting on our guy, Bo Brack, but we're not waiting on you guys. You guys are crushing it. Again, get us to 500 likes. Be most appreciated. Sports Hero, $5. Bidwell made a call to Petsing and Prater. Good business, thinking long term. There's 0% chance that happened because Michael Bidwell once wins. He doesn't care about draft positioning today, but nobody will care about this missed Prater field goal in about a month time.
No, nobody's going to care about it.
It's for the cause, if you will. Topic 64, $4.99. Dreaming of Higgins and MHJ. Higgins replaces Hollywood. Yeah, we're going to have all offseason to discuss that. Hollywood Brown, we gave out a signed jersey today. Has he played his last game for the Cardinals? Does T. Higgins reach free agency? Do the Cardinals dabble on a starting number one receiver and opt to go just heavy front seven in the draft and offensive line if Marvin's not available? It is interesting, BG. It's like, well, do the Cardinals even entertain now signing a big-ticket free agent wide receiver because they themselves don't know if Marvin's going to be available? Like, you almost have to, buy some insurance. You have to go get, a Kelvin Beachum-esque kind of receiver, like a DJ Chark or somebody like that, to come in and say, he could start for us. But then if, of course, like Paris last year and Marvin maybe this year, if Marvin falls to you, it's just like, okay, yeah, we're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Because had you fallen to 5th, 6th, or 7th, it's clear. Like, okay, go get a big-ticket receiver in free agency or you're going to draft one later. Now it's like you almost kind of have to hedge your bet a little bit.
I think if there's a top-tier receiver in free agency that makes sense that you can go out and get, I think you do it regardless.
Yeah.
Right? If you can do that and secure a Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, that's just sweetening the deal, honestly. But I think if there's there's a receiver in free agency that is top tier, can be a for sure number one coming in here, I don't think you pass up on it. Right? You've got the money to do it. I don't think you pass up on it. I think Hollywood's done in Arizona.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming back. So I think you go out there and like I said, like Marvin Harrison is on the table. And is a very good chance that you can walk out of there with him. Why not add somebody in there, right? Because now that takes away, when you look at it long term, it takes away football season. Marvin Harrison can come out here, and that's all we get. And he could ball the first 6 weeks, and now you're looking at double teams. Yes, you got Trey McBride. You're going to have to make up for that. But you got two top-tier receivers out there. I mean, look at Seattle today. You have DK Metcalf. Yes, he didn't perform that, but you got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the football field. If you double one's going to be one-on-one.
And you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Exactly. You got three receivers out there. And Jigba's the rookie and balled this year. Right?
He had a really good year.
Three guys out there. You get you a high-profile free agent. You get Marvin Harrison. You have Trey McBride. You got James Conner coming back. You got a guy like Greg Dortch that can be your number 4, number 3, whoever wants to be.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're forcing teams to either sit in zone or play man coverage if they want to get out of zone. And you're looking at one-on-one coverages for two top-tier wide receivers with a tight end. I mean, I think it's a win-win either way. If you can get you a number 1 receiver in free agency as well as bringing in a Marvin Harrison Jr., it's a win-win situation.
Back to the Super Chats. Trenton Smith, $4.99. Great season with you guys, BG, BB, JV. You guys make this offseason super exciting. Appreciate that, Trenton Smith.
Appreciate it.
We do our best. This team, we love them. They can be tough to love at times, but we love them and you all nonetheless. Picking spreads, $5 Super Chat. Number 1, Chicago taking Caleb Williams. Washington gets Drake May. Patriots, Jaden Daniels. Cards get Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick number 4. It's 100% still in play depending on what New England does at 3. The New England Patriots are ass at quarterback. I was trying to consume their game in the early slate, and then I tried to consume the Commanders game. I think, we all believe here, anybody that has watched Justin Fields and knows his limitations right now, it's like most people would tell you the smart decision is Caleb goes first to Chicago. And I think the Bears are going to come to that conclusion. I think once you get from that point, as long as these other quarterbacks don't fuck up their situation, like Jaden Daniels, Heisman winner, Michael Penix, what if he wins a national championship? Of course, Drake May can only stack up wins in the offseason where he's going to look great. The Commanders and the Patriots, it's almost a mandate they have to leave the offseason with a quarterback. Like the Commanders, they've gone the veteran route. The Patriots, like that was embarrassing. They're like the most embarrassing team at quarterback in the NFL. And like what we got to really root for as Cardinal fans is that these teams they don't have a chance to like pry a veteran away in free agency. Like if you're the New England Patriots or the Commanders, do not talk yourself into Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson. Like think of it yourself. Like we're picking high in the draft. This is a rare occurrence. We feel like we're going to be competitive. We got to get our QB. Like C.J. Stroud went 2nd overall. So I'm hoping that that's the route that they're going to take, that's what ends up happening.
Oh, and I agree. I mean, it's a quarterback-heavy draft. And like you said, the only way a guy like Jaden Daniels or, a Penix outside of that hurt their stock is if they suck at pro day.
Right. And
or
they won't.
combine.
And they don't.
And a lot of those guys, if it's even a question, probably aren't going to throw at the combine anyway. It'll be a pro day when they throw, when they can get somebody. For Penix, for sure, probably be a pro day when he throws because he'll have his receivers that he played that are coming out right now, too. He'll still have that connection. So the only way a lot of these rookie quarterbacks can hurt themselves is if they throw bad at pro day or the combine. Outside of that, free agency-wise, you're going to have a guy like Kirk Cousins. I see that in the chat. You're going to have Kirk Cousins. You're going to have a situation with Russell Wilson because he's going to be out of Denver. I mean, that was a shit show at the end of the season with those two, with him and head coach over there. But, I mean, there's going to be big names that come out quarterback-wise, but is it to the point where do I want to risk getting a veteran guy and it not working out when I could have gone in there and, done this with a rookie who's going to be less money up front, I guess, in the long run? who I could possibly build a team around.
Yeah. Like Jane Daniels is as limited as he looked while at ASU. Like he had a historic season. He's young, and he won the Heisman Trophy. Drake May, everybody's been talking about him competing with Caleb Williams for the first overall pick. And now, like, if Michael Penix Jr. hoists a national championship, and I get he's 24 years old, but he's a tremendous prospect. Like, I mean, we're talking about 4 quarterbacks for 3 spots. That's a good place for the Cardinals.
Could easily end up being the second quarterback taken off of this. I mean, if he wins the national championship, I mean, the game he put together against Texas was deep ball was immaculate.
Yeah, if you're these teams, like, what's your plan if you're not taking a quarterback? You think you're going to sit there on your ass and the quarterback's going to fold you in the second round? This is why this is going to be, if the Cardinals end up getting a blue chip Hall of Fame level prospect in Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to thank Matt Prater. We might need to build Matt Prater a fucking statue. And again, it doesn't feel like that today, but man, like it does feel like, any glimmer of getting him still opened up with a fluke. It was a fluke loss. Today was a fluke loss.
Yeah, I mean, it was a missed field goal, right? And there's a 50-50 chance that shit's going in or it's not, right? So, I mean, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, you miss the field goal, you lose the game. You got the 4th pick. Marvin Harrison is in competition coming here. You make it. Now you're in competition trying to find a way to get Marvin Harrison. So,
speaking of Marvin Harrison Jr., this is breaking news on Twitter. Marvin Harrison Jr. active today on NFL Sunday. This is in Marvin Harrison Jr.'s official X Twitter likes. It's the Cardinals missing this field goal. I wonder why Marvin Harrison Jr. would like that post. Number 18, I've never felt closer to you. We need to get you to the desert. Marvin Harrison Jr. liking a post of the Arizona Cardinals, basically securing the 4th overall pick. And I don't know if a lot of you saw this. Like during the week, he was, liking some Bears stuff about maybe taking him 1st overall. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. and his people see the writing on the wall that the Chicago Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. Certainly Washington and the Patriots could be open to Marvin, but they need quarterbacks. Dire, we've detailed that. It's like the Cardinals want Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's liking posts. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. I'm into that.
Hey, I'm with it.
We got Bo Brack live. I'm into this from State Farm Stadium following the Arizona Cardinals 1-point loss at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. Bo, we had a chance to take in some of JG's presser. Pretty somber moments there for the first-year head coach, yet you could tell he's excited about what's on the horizon, but today hurt.
Yeah, I mean, look, all that's all well and good, but what you guys just talked about right there, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the bird on X, and he's liking posts for the Arizona Cardinals. They're solidifying themselves as 4th overall. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. No, but you're right. JG, a little subdued today. Obviously, it was a tough loss. It might end up helping the Arizona Cardinals, but as far as the coaching staff goes, the players in the locker room, as BG said last week, they don't give a shit about draft picks. And this one, it just rips your heart out of your chest cavity. It was a tough one to swallow. But I think overall, I think Kyler Murray was talking about it. I think that this team feels good where it is in the trajectory and the direction that they're going.
Absolutely. Bo, did you get a sense with this team? Like, obviously when they win, they're bolstered. They're in the locker room. They're blaring music. Did you feel like a sense of pride from this team? Because, BG and I and the fans and in the chat have been talking about it. It's like, I think Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray won over a lot of people, not only today, but over the course of this season. I think if you're a Cardinal fan, it's cliche to say and you only have 4 wins, but they outplayed Seattle today. They were 2 fluke misses of winning this game, potentially handedly. They dominated time of possession. They got the most out of their talent, and Kyler Murray was efficient yet again. Like, did you get a sense that this group feels like they've got big things on the cusp for 2024?
No doubt about it. I mean, I think pride's the correct word, because I think nobody would come off a loss of any kind and say, hey, like, we're really kind of feeling ourselves and we think that, we can beat the world. But the direction of this organization, from what we heard from Jonathan Gannon, the way the guys were holding their heads up high in the locker room, they're not content. They're hungry. I mean, shit, Kyler Murray was saying in his press conference, they said, they asked him if he was going to take some time off this offseason. He said, I'm working out tomorrow. I'm going to be in the weight room tomorrow, and I'm going to be getting ready for the 2024 season. And there is, from we talked to James Conner and Kyler Murray at the podium, and these guys, I think they are just hungry. They love the direction of this organization, and they're ready to just get back to work. And, Kyler's asked a couple times as far as, this offseason, is he interested in it? And absolutely. Like, he's going to keep a watchful eye on what's going on, but he's going to continue to focus on what he can control and take care of his own business.
BG, we were talking about the landscape of, going 0-6 in the NFC West for Jonathan Gannon and the fact that he was this close yet so far. Like, do you anticipate that having a lingering effect, or do you think he's earned the respect of his fellow coaching peers? I mean, the Rams, the Niners, they're going to the playoffs. Seattle had a winning record yet again. Like, what's JG's mindset, do you think, in the NFC West?
I think nothing changes for JG. We've seen his demeanor and how he handles wins and losses this year, and there's no change in his face. The facial expressions stay pretty much even keel. But I think he's earned the respect of a lot of people in this league as a head coach. I mean, with the talent level he had on both sides of the football, to go out there and to be in a lot of games. I'm not saying they won. They took a lot of beatings, but, they were in a majority of the games. Especially the first 3 games we watched, right? You should have won. You should have beat the Commanders. You should have beat the Giants. You beat the Cowboys. And that's with a subpar quarterback.
Yeah,
right? That's subpar quarterback play at best. And I think what he was able to do with him and Nick Rallis were able to do with that defense this year and keep them in contention. The defense allowed this football team to be in football games they had no business being in. It wasn't any crazy highlight plays like you would love to see from the defense, but they were able to get guys off the field. They were able to get the offense opportunities to get on the field, whether they, succeeded or not. So I think as a whole, especially in the NFC West, I think all these coaches are on notice, especially with what Pete Carroll had to watch today, right?
Yeah.
You said the Cardinals outplayed the Seahawks all day. And Pete Carroll is one of the greatest coaches to coach in this football game. So he was essentially outcoached by Jonathan Gannon. I think he's put a lot of people on notice and saying, look, I know what I'm doing. I can be a head coach in this league, and I can put a solid product on the field. I think there's people that are taking notice of that.
Yeah, I'm with that. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I don't think Pete Carroll, he's talking more in his press conference, the clips and snippets that I've seen of him. He's talking more kind of down the road, but he absolutely knew that his team should have taken a loss today. And I think that at least put one of their division opponents on notice, no doubt about it. And, it was the strongest performance that they had all season long against an NFC West foe. And it's unfortunate that they didn't come out with the dub. But I completely agree with what Brittan was saying. I think that everybody's kind of perking their eyebrows up a little bit like, okay, this team's bought in and, they severely lacked talent this season. Just wait till they get some talent on that roster and look out.
Speaking of talent on the roster, gentlemen, here is an updated look via tankathon.com at the projected 2024 NFL draft picks for our sweet baby Arizona Cardinals, starting, of course, with the 4th overall pick. Then they have the first rounder of the Texans. That is liable to go down, unfortunately. Pick 35 and 66, that's not going anywhere. Those are the Cardinals. Those are locked and loaded. 71 of the Titans, that is locked and loaded. 86, the Texans pick. That could go up and down. 104, 36, respectfully, in rounds 4 and 5. That's the Cardinals. Then they've got the Texans and the Vikings, 156, 187. And then they've got the triplets in the 3rd round, 221, which is their own. Then they've got 223, the Giants, and the 244 for the Browns. That came from, of course, our guy, Joshua Dobbs. So the Arizona Cardinals with a projected 13 picks in the 2024 NFL Draft. No comp picks right now for the Arizona Cardinals. So the movement could happen, especially as it relates to Houston. But right now, I think the money picks that we're looking at, of course, are number 4 and then having number 35 solidified on top of what you've got going on with Houston in the 20s, Bo. I mean, you look at that. What jumps out to you when you look at that?
13 draft picks. Just the overall volume of picks. And then you can just make it rain picks. And you've already seen guys like, obviously Paris Johnson Jr. didn't miss a snap this season. B.J. Ojulari, I think, showed some promise in the pass rush. Definitely needs to take a step. Michael Wilson had a career-high receiving yards today. He really clicked over the last 2 games with Kyler Murray. Garrett Williams, unfortunately, couldn't play with the ankle today, but he showed you that he could be starting slot receiver in this league. Keitrell Clark showed that he could probably be a rotational guy. Same things for Dante Stills. The picks that Monty Ossenfort made in the 2023 draft should give you confidence that of the 13 selections that they could potentially make in 2024, they're going to find, even more starters, guys that are going to make impacts, and especially starting with 4th overall and then wherever that Texans pick lands for them at the end of the playoffs.
I agree. I mean, that's a lot of draft picks in one draft.
Yeah.
That's a lot of opportunities to hit too, right? I mean, you could say the other way, but given what we saw from Monty this past year in the 2023 draft, you're giving him 13 opportunities in the draft alone, right? And we talked about it earlier in the show. He had 14 rookies start and actually contribute to the game this season. Imagine what he can do with 13 draft picks on top of a free agency market and undrafted guys that he can bring in here.
Bo Brock, I think our friends in Chicago could use a nice 4 peaks on draft following the banger performance from our guy, Justin Fields, franchise quarterback. 3 field goals in a loss at Lambeau. Congratulations, Chicago. You played yourself. But, Bo, could you tell us about our friends at 4 Peaks?
Absolutely. I mean, the outcome's always going to be better than, obviously what Bears fans are expecting from this team, and probably quarterbacked in the future potentially by Justin Fields. I mean, you can find your franchise brew at 4 Peaks where they might not be able to find their franchise quarterback. They are already teaming up with Bad Birdie for a delicious beer that you got to try out for yourself. Always there's pumpkin porter season. They've got so many IPAs. They've got the #1 wheat beer in the state of Arizona. You can find it all at 4 Peaks. You can also find it at your local convenience store, your Circle K just down the corner, your local Fry's. Go find 4 Peaks beer because it's delicious. They're going into their 26th year of brewing here in this great state of Arizona and have already been woven within the fabric of our great state. Go check them out for yourself. 8th Street in Tempe. Got to be 21 years or older to drink the beer, but you don't have to be to enjoy the vibes and, of course, the delicious food, the appetizers, the entrees, and the delicious desserts. Go check them out. 4 Peaks, #1 Arizona premier craft brewery.
The vibes are immaculate with us here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. The vibes are immaculate with our friends at 4 Peaks. My bets today, not so much immaculate. However, I will put a asterisk on that because I did give out my BetMGM pick of the week, pick of the year earlier this week. Does anybody remember what it was? It was the James Conner plus 110 rushing to hit over 110 today to hit 1,000 yards. We nailed it. We bet it. I hope you did too. It was plus 370. I think you got it today, plus 330.
Oh, yeah.
It was a nice little dabble. And again, the betting season is not over. Do not fret that the regular season is almost in the books. Postseason wagering, national championship. You can bet on all that and more with our friends at BetMGM using the $1,500 first bet offer with the bonus code PHNX. You get signed up. Simple, easy step. You download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android device. Check them out at BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bucks if it loses. If it does lose, you're going to get paid out once your wager is settled. But again, BetMGM, I was 1 for 3 on the BetMGM Tap That app today. I did hit the Cardinals plus 3. Over didn't hit. And, of course, Kyler Murray didn't have a rushing touchdown. But you can win big tonight. Dabble, Miami Dolphins. I think they're going to get trounced by the Buffalo Bills in company. Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown. Check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to my guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Times are tough for the Chicago Bears. Times are tough for the Arizona Cardinals, specifically as it relates to their first-round pick with the Houston Texans. We have strayed away from it, BG, all day, but one last time, and then we will officially light it on fire. It's our Texans Tracker, which, good Lord, that could not have gone any worse. The Houston Texans winning the AFC South today. Congratulations. Somehow BG started 0-2, finished the year 10-5 did the Houston Texans. The Texans Tracker, presented by our friends at the Arizona Lottery, which we love. I do not love this, though.
No. I mean, well, you alluded to it earlier. Like, hitting on a rookie quarterback like the Texans hit on a C.J. Stroud is it's taking a shot in the dark, to be honest with you. I mean, the kid came out and played great football from week 1 into week 18. I mean, he missed a few games, but he elevated that Texans offense with his quarterback play. You know, I mean, if you turn around and see that you think if Carolina takes C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young goes to Houston, it's a completely different. That money tracker might have a lot more faces on it smiling. You know, I mean, but C.J. Stroud he's a generational quarterback talent.
Yeah.
I mean, to come in as a rookie and put numbers up like that and do that, I mean, he was in the mix for MVP there for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Before he got hurt, yeah.
As a rookie. So, I mean, yes, it hurts. It hurts us with that draft pick, but, I mean, hell of a season, CJ.
What do you make of it, Bo? Do you feel like Cardinal fans, like, when can we be able to breathe as it relates to this pick? Like, do you think Houston's got a shot at winning in the wild card round, or do you feel like that pick is probably going to be right around 21-22?
No, I mean, when you can get quarterback play like that from C.J. Stroud, like you've been seeing all season long pretty consistently outside of the 3-pick performance against the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, you got a chance. You got a chance. How would C.J. Stroud look in a Bears uniform? How would that team look this year if they didn't decide to trade out of that selection? Or, you know, if Carolina did the right thing and took him number 1 overall? It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, just the throw he made, a couple of them on 3rd and forever last night, just to keep that team going and put them in a position to win. I had to refrain from sending nasty notes to Tyler Goodson because he can't catch the goddamn ball in 4th and 1 when he's wide open. He's got open space ahead of him. But, you know, my heart goes out to the kid. That's tough, man.
I think that's more on old Gardner than it is. I mean,
yeah,
yes,
not a great ball play.
Shit throw. Oh.
Yeah, not great ball placement. Absolutely, I agree. It was overall, it was tough, man. It was just a tough pill to swallow for the Cardinals fans who were holding on that. It could have stayed in the teens, and now it still has potential, but like probably going to be in the 20s, huh?
Yeah, it's at pick 21, I think, right now via Tankathon. I think it can change depending on who wins tonight. If they win, though, next week, the lowest it can be, good hell, is you're looking at 25, 26 range, which is just that's really rough. That's a gut punch. Joe Flacco, you are king for a week. Please get it done. And I tweeted this out. I can't wait I don't have to root against CJ Stroud. For those needing a refresher, Arizona Cardinals are picking 4th in the 2024 NFL Draft. Back to their pick. Here's a look at the top 10. This is solidified. This is done. Dunzo. The top 10 order is here. Bears, Caleb Williams, pack your bags. You're heading to Chi-Town. Commanders leapfrog the Patriots. They're picking 2nd. Patriots are 3rd after a complete fucking no-show against the Jets today. Bill Belichick losing to the Jets for the first time in 8 years. Cardinals at 4 because Prater misses 2 field goals. If you're a Charger fan, you can't be happy about that. Somebody asked me, are the Cardinals tanking because of Prater? I think the Chargers tanked that game. They had 1st and goal on the 1, did not score, kicked a field goal, and then subsequently allowed KC to go down and kick the game winner. Giants win again. The Giants are just completely endeavored to Daniel Jones now. Feels like they have to go with Daniel Jones moving forward because they won a bunch of meaningless games at the end of the year. Titans with the shocker of the day beating Jacksonville really helps the Cardinals. I mean, really, at the end of the day, if the Cardinals were going to beat the Seahawks, Bo and Brittan, they needed the Titans and the Giants to do work, and they did. Then, of course, we got Falcons, Bears with their franchise quarterback, yet they still have a top 10 pick. Go figure. And the Jets at number 10, waiting around for Aaron Rodgers. So anything stand out to you, Bo, looking at that top 10?
Yeah, well, here I'm going to make a plea to all 450-plus people watching. If you have a social media account, and when Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix Jr. and, the quarterbacks on the outside looking in of the top 2, when they have their pro days, when they're at the combine, you gas these guys up as much as possible. Yep. You make each and every franchise believe like he's him. Michael Penix Jr. is him, and he's still got one more game, and so does Jaden Daniels doesn't, but he's got his pro day, and he's going to have a chance to light up the combine. And you make sure that these guys get as much hype as they need to get themselves selected 3rd overall in this draft. And we have 1, 2, 3 signal callers, and then the Arizona Cardinals the choice to either if they want Marvin Harrison Jr., you make the call, you run to the podium, or, you trade down for a haul of picks.
I see people in the chat saying, don't jinx it, Johnny. Johnny trying to convince Chicago to take Caleb Williams. No, the tape will do that. If Ryan Poles is worth his salt as a general manager, he will turn on Caleb Williams tape, and then he will turn on Justin Fields tape. What's the statistic, Bo, on Justin Fields in his last, 6-7 games? What, 1 passing touchdown per game? Is that what the statistic is? No touchdowns today.
No multiple touchdowns. No multiple touchdowns. He went Kenny Pickett on their ass and still was able to pull wool over people's eyes and believing he's a franchise quarterback. Unbelievable that he went out there and that offense laid an egg in Green Bay again. But
the Packers have been terrible defensively too, by the way.
Yeah.
They're being lit up by people.
Yep.
Wasn't a good show.
But there are Fields truthers out there, man. All he needs is a Hall of Fame collection of players around him, and they'll lift him up. That's all you need.
Yeah, they're picking in the top 10 because he wasn't good enough this year. And his rookie contract has expired, and you're going to have to pay him now. And Caleb Williams to the Bears does not guarantee Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. But, man, when you look at the Commanders and the Patriots and how shit sorry their quarterback situation is, we were talking about it, but we need to be rooting for these veteran quarterbacks that are capable to not end up in these spots. We'll see what happens with Russell Wilson, but I don't need these false sense of security, situations happening with the Commanders and the Patriots. When Derek Carr's of the world are available and Jimmy Garoppolo's, hopefully they see what happened this offseason. And it's Joe Flacco was the best veteran QB signing, and he was added in November. It's fool's gold when these guys become available in free agency.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with a Russell Wilson or somebody like that, where people will think, hey, maybe I can get his last best games, and it could be a team, whoever takes over, really potentially in New England or maybe Washington. I mean, just because it's a changing of ownership, it doesn't mean that they're going to make the right decision. We know nothing about Harris and his ownership group. I know they're going to be aggressive, but Russ, I think, grew up in Virginia. Maybe he could go back to the East Coast and play for the Commanders or the Patriots, and they think that that's the solution. We know it's probably not the best play. Your best play is probably go up and get one of these quarterbacks, but there's definitely going to be some wild cards out there, and there's also always a GM out there naive enough to believe that they can go against the grain and not draft a quarterback and figure it out. And it'd be a nice, probably at most short-term solution, but these are bad teams overall. They should just hit the reset button and go with the young guy.
Yeah, we could be talking about specifically with the Patriots and the Commanders, new coaches, new general managers, fresh start with a young quarterback. You don't need a fresh start with us. Check us out, gophnx.com. Become a diehard every single year. You're a diehard. Pick up a free hat and or shirt. The Greg Dortch Podcast T-shirt is the hottest seller at the locker right now. You can get it for free. Become a diehard. The Discord, I checked it out just a couple of minutes ago. It's completely off the chain. Basically, your off-season mock draft central with Bo, BG, and myself, Damon Dog, hanging out with all the diehards. Again, it's the steal of the year. $79 for the year. It's going to get you a free hat and or shirt, 20% off any future purchases from the locker, money off on events, free access to 100% of the articles from guys like Craig Morgan. It's tremendous. Check it out. Become a diehard. GoPHNX.com. You will not be sorry that you will. Putting a bow on this 2023-2024 NFL season for the Arizona Cardinals. BG, I'll start with you. Do you feel like the Cardinals have a jumping off point now to really announce to the rest of the NFL we're coming in 2024?
Agreed, especially the way they finished this season, especially offensively. They came out, they showed that they can be an offense that can be productive in this NFL. And I think with all the parts that, we hope and we're praying that Monty and company can bring in that can help this football team, you finish on a high note like we talked about last week. Finishing strong is big. So you finish on a high note. Yeah, you lost the game, but you saw what you needed to see offensively. I think 2024, you can only go up from where you're at, right? You're gonna have an opportunity to dabble in free agency with a lot of money. You've got a shit ton of draft picks to go into. I think everything is trending upwards for this football team. I think 2024 is a season where playoffs are definitely in the mix, right? Should be in the mix.
Yeah.
Right, going forward. So, like we said earlier, I'm super excited to see where 2024 takes his team outside of the draft and free agency. And next year, hopefully we're all jumping and screaming and watching Johnny almost fall over the railing when the Cardinals win 10, 12, 13 games, baby.
What railing? The railing here at Gila River? You want me to end up in the hospital? Wow. Find out who your friends are. That's a really tall. I think that railing's like 6 feet tall. I can't do that. Bo Brock, you had a chance to watch this team up close and personal. I saw a tweet from Kyler's presser saying this is his favorite team he's ever been a part of in the NFL.
Yeah.
What about that quote stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, and also what he said is a complete 180 from last year. And like what we were just asking for when you and I were pounding the table for this organization to hit the full reset button was just to show signs of going in the right direction. And they absolutely did that. And then some. I think that's where they overachieved. Obviously, they finished, in back-to-back seasons 4-13. But, you saw just the progress that they made as far as just kind of cleaning up the mess that was left from the previous general manager and coaching staff. And I think that they got buy-in. And when BG talks about, what you're going to have and what you're going to be armed with as far as cap space and draft capital, especially the cap space, I think that with this, just culture change and what you're going to hear from the players that were on this roster and the people that were around this organization is going to work to their advantage as far as recruiting players to where, they still have some work to be done as far as, the facility and all that. That still can be a work in progress. But as far as the culture and the head coach in the front office and the general manager, Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, I think that there's buy-in here, and I think that there's going to be persuasion, outside of this building to come join and buy in with this organization going forward.
Well said. As are these super chats here. Let's get to these. Damon Dog in the chat, AZ Fan 1998. Oh, we got to that one. My bad.
No, it's a new one.
Yeah, we got it. Oh, last one, I promise.
Another last one.
Okay, the outsiders know nothing about this team like we do. K1 is our QB. This team will win a Super Bowl. I sure hope so. I've seen enough progress this year. I feel like playoffs or bust is going to be the mentality, and you never know when you get in the big dance, AZ Fan. Alex, $4.99. The offense looked good without Hollywood, too. Safe to say he's gone. I think that's a great point. I think this offense, really, when you removed his temptation of him playing and taking up practice reps, it's like, okay, now we can get serious with the guys that are here and available. And that's not a knock on Hollywood. It's just the reality of the situation. I also think that the offense got better as Kyler Murray got more comfortable. Tommy Felix, $2. Season met my expectations. We're in a good spot, 100%. I think it
exceeded a lot of people's expectations.
I think a lot of people thought the Cardinals were going to have the kind of season that the Carolina Panthers had.
I agree.
No F's given, $4.99. Who else wanted Will Hernandez to drop that guy that tackled K1? He was asking to get dropped. Bo, why wasn't there a late flag on that hit by the defender on Kyler Murray? That was the biggest crock of shit I've seen today.
That's very un-Will Hernandez-esque. I played with Will in New York for a little bit. Will will go to bat for his quarterback 90% of the time. I think it was more of a veteran thing for Will saying, hey, we have an opportunity to win this football game, and a personal foul penalty right now could put us out of range potentially for points. So I think that was just a good veteran move by Will saying, all right, let me hold this haymaker back, because normally, listen, Will will go to bat for his quarterback all day long. You love to see it.
No, absolutely. He did in Carolina last year too, got tossed from the game, and he is a guy that's got a nasty streak. He's an enforcer out there, and you love it. But yeah, great point. I mean, they didn't want to knock him. It was tough enough for Prater anyway. If you knock him back 15 yards. But Kyler had said, he's not going to comment. He didn't want to get fined, obviously, for saying, officiating got it wrong. But, yeah, I mean, he basically said he was in a tough position. He was in an awkward spot. He'd already kind of been dealing with a little tweak in his ankle. And did clearly after he was down on the ground and had given up.
Yeah, I'm just glad he's okay, presumably, and last thing we needed was a Kyler Murray injury of any kind to begin this offseason. 100% K1 means we're 100% good to go for 2024. Blake, $10. So generous, Blake. Thank you so much. Seahawks smoking cigars in the visitor locker room like they won a division.
Moral victories.
Yeah, I think the Seattle Seahawks have a lot of questions this offseason. They got worse as the season went on. Barely finished above 500. As long as they have Pete Carroll, they've always got a shot. But the Cardinals have won this division with Pete Carroll in it. And they finished higher with Kyler Murray in it. And Kyler Murray coming back spells bad news for everybody in the NFC West. Joel, $4.99. We needed to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brendan Rice. Hall of Fame, parental support, and it would be funny to see Jerry in some Cards gear. I'm with you. Let's get all the ex-player. I mean, Joe Altstad playing the NFL. I think you can't go wrong, Bo, with players that played, or their parents played in the NFL. Paris Johnson Jr. has NFL lineage, or whatever, however you pronounce that word. Of course, ties to the NFL typically are a good thing. Maybe not a quarterback, but a lot of these other positions, these guys can play.
Yeah, for sure. You see it with the ties and just the relationships and the coaching staff. Sure, if you continue to grow that's a win for the organization. I don't know if you should throw whoever Joe Alt's dad was in the same conversation.
He played in the NFL, Joe Alt Sr.
But look, this just goes on. Like, we're so thankful for everybody and grateful for everybody that tuned into this podcast throughout the season. But it doesn't, as Johnny said, it doesn't stop, after today, because Brendan Rice is going to be at the Senior Bowl. We're going to be at the Senior Bowl, checking out and getting all the sights and sounds and the scouting from there. So we'll get a good look at the bigger-bodied USC wide receiver, Brendan Rice. Can't wait for it.
Can't wait for all of you. Like this video. Again, major thank you to everybody who supported the show over the course of this season. Lots of ups and downs, mostly downs on, the playing field, but you guys kept us up. And as my co-host mentioned, live from State Farm Stadium, the party doesn't stop. The rebuild and the fun now begins. I want to thank everybody at BetMGM, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, our producers, Damon Dog, fantastic, Emma, Jacob, who's filled in admirably, our team, our social media director, Michaela, everybody behind the scenes that makes this show what it is. You guys deserve a big thank you. You guys helped make us and continue to make us your #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. We had our biggest season to date. And with respect to these guys, it sure as hell wasn't because of the on-field product. It was because of the product that we are surrounded by. So we thank all of you, and the party does not stop. Senior Bowl, Super Bowl, Combine, and the NFL Draft. For Brittan, Golden, Bo Brack, I'm Johnny Venerable. Like and subscribe. We'll see you on a Football Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.